Brainy tier list. You guys know what you guys know what we're doing. We're doing the Brainy tier list. Let's go. Alright, we're doing the Brainy tier list. Am I too loud right now? Go this out a little bit. Alright. Alright, so we're doing the Brainy tier list today. Hopefully you guys are here. Let's just start right away when we have some peoples here. Wait for Yellow Server to ping and then we'll start. Kinda. Alright. Hello. Welcome to Brainy tier list. Okay, I'm just organizing my stuff right here. Leaving Evolution top tier. Okay, guys, listen. The Discord opinion has changed. So, the thing is, okay, wait. Let me make the chat a little bit smaller. Make the chat a little bit smaller. Okay, there you go. So, okay, here's the thing. So we actually have changed our opinions on a couple of cards, because of a couple of new decks we have discovered, and so you might not, understand some of these changes, the tier list, but I have came prepared for the tier list this time. So instead of rating it on the spot like we did for the Blue tier list, which we spent a lot of time just like debating like which tiers, like which cards go into, I have actually prepared the Brainy tier list in advance to actually, move on with this tier list faster. So I've actually already rated everything, tiered out everything, basically already planned out everything. I have the whole tier list already on my phone, so I can see what my tiering is going to be. So I know what I'm going to put the cards in tiers are. Spoilers, some cards are going to be moving up from F tier to B tier. That's pretty nutty. Like a card is getting moved up from F tier to B tier. So alright, so yeah, we can just get right into it. Alright, so today we're going to be doing the Brainy tier list. So the whole idea of doing these tier lists is basically we're ranking each card inside of each class. So we're doing this to basically rank how good each card is in general, and we're going to be rating this, sort of in a way that is kind of, how do you say it? So we are sort of rating these cards based on the competitive meta. So we're not basing this off how fun the cards are. We're not basing off the how funny the cards are. We're not basing anything but the competitiveness of the cards. So we're only taking into two factors right here. The first factor is how strong it is. A card is overall, the power of a card overall, and secondly, the versatility of a card overall, with the 4 different heroes that you can run the card with, or 5, because we're running because it's the Brainy class. We have the Super Brains and HG, so we have taken into account for 5 heroes instead of the normal 4. For the versatility of the card. So if a card has very high power but very low versatility, usually I would not rate that over a B tier, and because if a card is only useful in one hero, I usually would not rate it above B tier. That's like the standard. If a card is A tier, it has to be meta defining. It has to be a card that is, existing in the meta for several different heroes and is versatile enough to be considered A tier. So with that out of the way, let's just get right onto the first card. First card is this right here. Cardboard Robot Zombie. Guys, this card is OPC. This guy makes all the ELO scores, We all know Cardboard Robot makes all the ELO scores in the world, so therefore A tier. You name it. Okay. Next card, Chimney Sweep. So Chimney Sweep is actually pretty decent because it's a 1 cost free 2. So Chimney Sweep is a 1 cost free 2, which is actually overstat for a 1 cost card, which is actually not that bad. However, there's a huge liability with Chimney Sweep, even though it's a 1 cost free 2, is that you like drawing multiple chimney sweeps is horrible. Like if you are playing chimney sweep not on heights, then chimney sweep is literally just a 2/1, and the free 2 is not worth, like, not high enough value of tempo to be worth running chimney sweep in the deck, because you're looking for like other turn 1 plays, usually with the Brainy class, specifically interdimensional zombie and neutron imp, and in some cases even just like Leprechaun imp if you're playing super brain solo imps. And this card is fine for budget. This card is competitively viable in like a very budget burn deck, but it is viable because it is a 1 cost free 2 sometimes on turn 1, but the liability is that you double draw it. So I have decided to rate it a D tier, solid D tier card, kind of low on the D tier side of things, but even though it's not in DB decks, it's still worth a D tier, so yeah. Next card. So the next card is actually Interdimensional Zombie. So this card actually used to be in F tier. So we actually used to put Interdimensional Zombie in F tier, but a general opinion of this card has actually shifted that Interdimensional Zombie is C tier. So why is Interdimensional Zombie actually C tier now? And that is simply because of Tisha of some size, and that is a new, database deck. That's actually the newest database deck as of right now, which is 9th of October for me. So it's a new, and it utilizes Interdimensional Zombie very well because it's a free cost card that you can use. It's a 1 cost card and it becomes a free cost card, and the free cost card is usually very good. It's amount of tempo, and Interdimensional Zombie happens to work very well with Tisha of some size because you're able to, spend some of these science minions on those turns. Like, you're placing a lot of like strong science minions on the board, like Teleportation Zombie, Neutron Imp, Area 22, Cyborg. These are all science cards that activate this Interdimensional Zombie. And previously, Interdimensional Zombie would not have been rated this high because of the fact that people have been trying to use Interdimensional Zombie in the same deck as like Gadget Scientist. So that's where the misconception comes in right here, is that people try to use Interdimensional Zombie with like Drone Engineer and Gadget Scientist because, guys, it's science synergy. We must use it with Drone Engineer and Gadget Scientist because more science synergy is overall better. But that is actually not true. The idea that you try to use Drone Engineer with Interdimensional Zombie is self-conflicting because Interdimensional Zombie does not transform into specifically a free cost science card. It only transforms into a free cost card, so it gives you more stats, but it doesn't actually have the science trait in it. So what is this deck perfect for? Now that is perfect for Tisha of some size, because Tisha of some size is looking for building up that general tempo of the deck without relying on the science synergy that hard, because you're usually looking for that tempo from the free cost card that Interdimensional Zombie transforms into, rather than the the gimmicky science synergy of the Interdimensional Zombie. And let me explain why Interdimensional Zombie is actually better than Cheese Cutter and Tisha of some size though. So the reason why it's actually better than Cheese Cutter is because this is way better when you have a full board. When you are on a full board scenario, Interdimensional Zombie provides way more tempo than Cheese Cutter because you can immediately get tempo out of Interdimensional Zombie. Cheese Cutter has to get tempo after it hits face. That's a huge difference, because then you can't just immediately activate this for to get I don't know, any free cost card, even a Raptor. So you can't just immediately get a Raptor out of a Cheese Cutter, since you have to actually hit face first before any tempo happens. Otherwise it's just 1 cost 2/2. So this is why Interdimensional Zombie is overall better. And ironically, the 2/2 overall better combo is Brendan Tisha of some size. It's very good. So yeah. Alright, the next card is Leprechaun Imp. So Leprechaun Imp sits at a solid D tier. It's higher than Chimney Sweep. So the only usage for Leprechaun Imp is really just as a imp for Super Brain's Teleimps. There's literally no purpose of running Leprechaun Imp in any other deck than Super Brain's Teleimps, because you have no better options to run Leprechaun Imp. And Neutron Imp technically does something if your opponent's place environment, kind of irrelevant, so you use Leprechaun Imp instead. So the only useful part is that it's a 1 cost 2/2 imp, and the fact that it shuffles 1 pot of gold into your deck literally almost never matters, and you are almost never getting that 1 pot of gold because you're only shuffling a token copy of that pot of gold in your deck. And what makes this redeeming as a card is literally just its trait as an imp. If this wasn't an imp, this would be instantly F tiers. And this is literally its only usage is this hella imps. Like I don't know what to really say. Unfortunately, we don't have any better options than just Leprechaun imp. The card is not good. I'm just rating it D tier just because it's using one database deck, and Leprechaun imp is a lot worse than Neutron imp when you compare them to from Super Brain Cell imps to HD Cell imps. And we'll get more into Neutron imp in a couple of cards of but let's just get on to the next card. This card is not good. Would not recommend crafting this, guys. Would definitely not recommend using a Leprechaun imp. It costs 2,000 sparks as well. Do not use Leprechaun if you have HG already. Okay, so this is the biggest winner of this tier list. We used to put Mustache Waxer in F tier, but Mustache Waxer is actually now B tier. So let me actually start explaining why Mustache Waxer is actually such a great card, and we just really found out the usage of Mustache Waxer in this couple of months. So the whole thing with Mustache Waxer, the whole misconception is that people try to make mustache decks and they try to make aggro mustaches. So what happens is that you end up playing with Mustache Waxer, and then you play like a couple of mustache cards like Grave Robbers and Quasars, and then you end up having this full board, and you have a lot of brains left over because you spent all these brains on a full board. So you have like all this swarm on the board, but it's not actually gonna ever break through because you're actually literally just spamming minions on the board without having to use tricks and to helping them to go phase. And also, it doesn't take into account that Mustache Waxer loses value once you start having a full board, because then you can't play more mustaches to profit off, you know, this kind of Waxer thing. But there's a whole new deck that is actually better than Froster, and that is Trick Stash. And Trick Stash uses Mustache Waxer very, very well, because now I'll show you guys the deck right now. Actually, Trick Stash, this is better than Froster, guys. This is better than Froster, better than Valkyr, better than Froster. So this is Trick Stash. So the whole idea of the deck is literally you spend your Mustache Waxer and you fill the board with mustache cards so that your opponent can't actually break through. And then because you're spending these like zero cost Grave Robbers, like this is great as a zero cost card, like you're literally just spending. And besides from that part is that it's still a great card without having Waxer. And these are like, and Bungee Plumbers and Mustache and Grave Robbers are literally pseudo zero costers with with Mustache Waxer, and Mustache Waxer grows by 1 health every single time they play a mustache, and that is perfect for this kind of deck because you are literally profiting from having so many extra brains from, you know, ramping with your Mustache Waxer. Then you can charge up your tricksters in the background by doing removal tricks, final mission, fruitcake, teleports, fun dead razors, and all that kind of things to help you charge that trickster up because you're actually ramping up in cards and you're getting a very good tempo card. Think about this. If you play 2 mustaches, this is a 1 cost 2/4. That is insanely broken. Like a 1 cost 2/4 and you get 2 brains back. Like who would not want this? Like this is amazing. And when you use it with Quasar, Quasar becomes a 1 cost card and you conjure a superpower. Like when Quasar becomes a 2 cost card that you can play a superpower and a minion that's a 2/2, it becomes amazing because of the Waxer synergy. And that's why we're actually putting Mustache Waxer inside of B tier, because it's very good at Trick Stash. But the whole thing is that do not use Duck Sash with Mustache Waxer. Duck Sash is a horrible card. Do not ever use Duck Sash. Duck Sash is a free cost, free attack, 2 health minion, and if you evolve it on one of your mustaches, that's just losing your own card advantage, and you're conjuring a random mustache back, and that, you know, +2/+2 buff usually does not help it do anything. So do not use Duck Stash with Mustache Waxer. It's not a good combo. Use Mustache Waxer in Trick Stash and that's it. Solid B tier card. Okay, next card. Now this is a gem inside of the Brainy class. This is actually a very good card. I'm rating this in A tier. So the whole thing about Neutron is that it's very strong with HG because you have those built-in environments, and once you start playing environments for 1 cost, then you profit a lot of Neutron because you literally do a bonus attack. You literally do 2 damage by just playing an environment. That's amazing with HG because and that's why like HD Tele Imps is a whole tier higher than Super Brain Tele Imps. Like Super Brain Tele Imps is ranked as high tier 2, and HD Tele Imps is ranked as high tier 1, and probably the best deck in the game. It makes a huge difference when you run Neutron Imp because you have those built-in environments of HD. So why is it even an A tier? Because RCCH, didn't you mention that you can't put a card above B tier if it's not useful other than in one deck? So the thing is about Neutron Imp is that it's also very good with Area 22. So if Area 22, you are playing a 4-cost combo and you're doing 8 damage in that turn. This is similar to Barrel Final Mission without the splash, and that's a good amount of damage. Is that you're doing Neutron Imp with Area 22, 4 damage frenzy in this lane. Almost nothing in the game stops that from happening other than just a free nut combo, and they're still not profiting off that free nut combo because you can still play the Area 22 anywhere else on your board, and that Neutron Imp is still going to do that bonus attack. And if this and Neutron Imp also punishes your opponents playing environment, which is pretty cool because so essentially it takes off 10% of your opponent's health to play an environment, which is actually very good and happens to be a very good ability. So solid A tier. Next card. So next card, Paparazzi. So Paparazzi is a viable card in the meta. Specifically a one deck also called Paparazzi. I'm pretty sure most of you guys would probably know what a Paparazzi is already. It's a it's the best Rust Bowl deck in the game, and we're using Paparazzi to build up, this insane stats with Teacher. And the reason why it synergizes so well is because that you're actually able to start playing those 0-cost healthy treats and those 2-cost golden virals on your Paparazzi once you have that Teacher on the board, and you're able to grow that Paparazzi so fast that your opponent is probably not going to be able to keep up with it. And Paparazzi as a deck in general does amazing into ranked mode because people don't apply enough pressure on ranked. People will literally play decks that have almost no pressure in them, and that makes Paparazzi so good because Paparazzi wins almost every single time against a deck with low pressure because it's able to draw into that combo with Funded Razors, teleports, just teleportation, zombie stalling, and that makes it very, very good. And Paparazzi, solid D tier card, not really better than Leprechaun Imp though because Paparazzi happens to not be a very good deck against Database because Database usually runs a lot of pressure cards like Pumpkin, lots of like Galactic Cactus, even Forget-Me-Not screws this up very badly because it denies trick efficiency, and Black IP is most notable for denying Paparazzi efficiency. And Black IP is better of a counter than Forget-Me-Not to deny Paparazzi efficiency because you're straight up just building your own Paparazzi on the plant side. So it's why it's D tier. It's not completely useless, but still very good of Rust Bowl. Yeah. So next card is going to be Teleport. This is one of the best cards in the game, but not the best card in the game. Not in the game, but in the Brainy class because it's outclassed by Teleportation Zombie. But Teleport is still an amazing card. This literally breaks game mechanics inside of PvZ Heroes. Teleport allows the Brainy class to have last say. The whole reason why you're even playing the Brainy class is because you have Teleport and Teleportation Zombie. And the whole reason why you're actually playing the Brainy class is that you have Teleportation Zombie and Teleport. And Teleport is so good because you're able to just pull off so many different combos with it because you are able to play zombies after plants, so you're able to play zombies reactively to your plants, which is actually really good. And Teleport, it draws you a card as well, which is insane because it draws you a card, so it cycles through your deck. So even if you don't want it, you can just play it as one and you draw an extra card, and that's pretty good. You just cycle through your deck, look for some extra cards, and that's fine. And otherwise, you can still teleport in whatever God knows what you want in any other class. Like, oh, there's so many infinite combos I can talk about with Teleport. It's insane because it's ran in every single Brainy deck. Like, name me one deck that doesn't run Teleport in it. Like, name me one Brainy deck that doesn't run Teleport in it. Like, I can't think of one. Like, what is it? There's literally not. Every single Brainy deck runs Teleport. So, and Teleport is overall amazing card. Not really much to be said because this card is just allows you to pull off so many different combos, with other class cards, because it fixes so many problems with so many cards in the game because of zombies not having last say. And for example, this fixes the problem with Gizzard Lizard, because now you can play Gizzard Lizard in the tricks phase, which is a chickening, rather than in the zombies phase, which, you know, you just commit it and your opponent can, you know, just play whatever they want that turn. And it fixes a lot of problems with a lot of cards, because it allows those cards to have last say rather than first say, like Teleport Fireworks, Teleport Lizard, Teleport Barrel, Teleport Guard Throwing Imp. Teleport Guard Throwing Imp is probably the most notable combo with Teleport. Guard Throwing Imp is Guard Throwing Imp is insanely good with Teleport, and Guard Throwing Imp is almost completely unusable without Teleport, which is kind of funny, because the whole reason why Guard Throwing Imp even works is because Teleport exists as a card that allows you to play in the trick space. You can actually just front something with front lane with 2 minions, and you're able to make 2 guards, and that's not possible if you're playing it dry, because it can literally just get hammered. You know, opponents can just, you know, move away their plants, whatever they want to do with it, like, and they can just exploit that place so hard. But if you teleport it in, then it becomes significantly better. So yeah, teleport A tier. Maybe you can make an argument for teleport in S tier, but I mean A tier is probably the most suitable place to put it in. Very high A tier though. Very high A tier. So next card is Beam Me Up. So Beam Me Up is a solid card. It makes a 2/3, which is, you know, good stats on the board, and it, you know, it makes that minion on the as a trick. And it's this trick that makes it 2/3 on the board, which is respectable stats, and it 2/3s, you know, trade into everything. So it's actually very good because you're able to trade into most things, and it's a very good control card, and also can be used as a tempo card because you can just play it on the board as a 2/3 and teleport in. So this is basically teleporting in a 2/3 without having to cost up a teleport, which is actually pretty good. Used in Paparazzi, used in Froster, but Froster is kind of Froster is about as relevant as Trick Stash nowadays, but I don't know. But Beam Me Up, still very solid control card, because you're actually able. Another notable usage of Beam Me Up is that it actually survives against Banana Launcher. Beam Me Up survives against Banana Launcher, which is actually pretty cool as a, you know, counter to Banana Launcher in the Brainy class, so to say. It's not really a hard counter to it because, of course, your opponent can just play Berry Blast onto it next turn, but then you're still getting that 2 damage on that Banana Launcher on the turn before, which is still very good. And Beam Me Up can clog up lanes, which is very, you know, good aspect of the card, because you're able to just, like, play that 2-cost. You can just have this 2-cost card, and you're able to just, you know, sit back, relax, have that 2-cost card be able to, you know, reliably clog up a lane no matter what happens, and, you know, that's good. So, solid B tier card. Next, Cell Phone Zombie. Cell Phone Zombie is very limited to its usage, and happens to be better than Interdimensional Zombie, as they say, by a little bit, I'd say. And Cell Phone Zombie is very situational because you're only able to actually use this with Froster. So the reason why you use Cell Phone Zombie with Froster is because you need to draw that extra card in order to get your win conditions. And it's also notable that you can use it with teleport. You teleport into Cell Phone Zombie, and then that clogs up a lane. It's not lane dependent, because the whole reason why you don't run Quasar inside of Froster is not because superpowers are bad, but because of the lane condition. Cell Phone Zombie has no lane condition, so you can just teleport it in whatever lane you want to, and it will help you draw that extra card from your deck. And usually drawing Bungee Plumbers and drawing Fruitcakes are very good. And let me explain why this is, oh, God knows, terrible inside of basically any other, like, hero other than Professor Brainstorm. Why, like, you're not, because Cell Phone Zombie doesn't actually help you draw into, like, those better control cards, other than Professor Brainstorm, because you actually have Fruitcake and Buddy Plumber as control cards, and Barrel Mission, which are, you know, very good cards. But with, like, other classes, like with Rust Bolt, what are you drawing with Cell Phone Zombie into? Like, that's, like, Cell Phone Zombie is way too slow for Paparazzi, first of all, because Paparazzi wants to pull off their combo pretty fast, while Froster is pretty slow at pulling off their combo, like, by turn 6. And if you think about it with Immorticia, if we're using, if we're Immorticia, then we'd be using Dog Walker, Cheese Cutter, and Cyborg as our control cards, rather than trying to teleport in a cell phone zombie to do 1 damage and draw another card, because Cyborg is almost always better. So that is why it's very limited in usage. It's really only useful as Professor Brainstorm. What is the other hero I'm missing? Oh yeah, HG. Oh yeah, talking about controlling of HG. Yeah, guys. You know, instead of teleporting deadly imps, just teleport in 1/1. Yeah. Okay. No, not a good idea. Okay, not a good idea with HG either. So only useful with Professor Brainstorm. Therefore, putting it in C tier because of its very low versatility and overall power level, kind of mediocre. Anyways, inside of Roaster, it's kind of one of the worst cards in Roaster, because you can really just replace it with Quasar, and it would do fine, but you know, Cell Phone Zombie is more optimal. Just because, you know, you're able to draw that card every single time. Okay, next card, Cosmic Scientist. So Cosmic Scientist is not a good card. It's a 2-cost 1/2 Bullseye. Very understat. A 1/2 Bullseye is already understat as a 1-cost card, and you're making this a 2-cost card, which is not good. It's a very, you know, understat for its cost, which is a very big issue. And you're really not getting any tempo when you play Cosmic Scientist, and even though it gives you a useful trait, it's still only a random card you're conjuring. You can literally conjure anything as a science card, and there's a lot of science cards in this game. And you know, most of the cards in this game are not good, and most of the cards are like in E tier and F tier. That's why I'm even making this tier list in the first place. And it's not a good idea to actually even use this in a science deck, because you're literally just developing a 1/2 Bullseye. Like, what is that ever gonna synergize with your science deck? Like, never. like this would never synergize with your science deck, because you're just literally conjuring some random crap. Overall, terrible card. Next card. Next card is actually Cryobrain. So Cryobrain, I like to call Cryobrain more like Cryfrobrain. I don't like Cryobrain in basically any deck except for like Enigmatisha maybe. Cryobrain is a very low value card, and it's very specific to be only useful in control decks, and Cryobrain is really not good because when you play Cryobrain, so you make 1 extra brain next turn, and you make 1 extra brain again turn after that, and then so if you think about it that way, Cryobrain is only really profiting until after the first turn you've invested the Cryobrain initially, and that's usually way too slow. And Cryobrain, more you play Cryobrain, you more just realize that Cryobrain is just taking up a slot in your deck as, you know, ramping, rather than actually being useful control tools that help you win the game. So instead of having more win conditions or having more control tools to actually help you, you know, get to that point you can play Trickster, you're trying to win with Trickster faster when you're dying to everything else faster as well. which makes Cryobrain not a good card. I mean, Cryobrain is very limited to its usage, and it's gonna get taken out of the meta pretty fast. I think, like, I can even downgrade Cryobrain to like D tier right now. I don't know. Cryobrain is not a good card. Cryobrain is not a good card. I don't like using it in any deck, basically. Like, what? Opponent plays Triceratops, just Cryobrain, you know? Ignore Triceratops. Triceratops grows. Let's go. Bad idea. Very bad idea. Like, and the thing is, like, people say that you can play turn 2 Cryobrain, and then you can play turn 3 Neutron Imp, Area 22. That's literally a free card combo. If you're relying on a free card combo for Cryobrain to be good, you might as well not run Cryobrain. Because it's so specific that you need like free cards to pull it off, and even the combo itself is not even that reliable because it can just remove your Neutron Imp anyways, and you're ignoring the turn 2 play for doing that. Not good. Alright, next card. Evolutionary Leap. So Evolutionary Leap is kind of like the fun card, the most like kind of fun card inside of the Brainy class. Competitively has 0 usefulnesses into it. Transforms a zombie to random zombie, costs 1 more. You have literally no idea what this is going to transform to. It could transform to something worse. It can't transform to something better. If you just draw a card, like, this is just an RNG card. It's for fun, not really useful in the competitive scene at all. Like, there's no really real deck that I would use to have like Leap in. Even if I had Brain Vendor Leap every single game, probably still would not use it because the swing from the what you get from the Leap is so huge because there's a lot of crap in this game. So how do you even actually fix Evolutionary Leap? I think how you fix it is literally just make, you know, overall cards less crap, and that would make Leap like significantly better. And that would make Conjure cards significantly better as well, because there's just too much crap in the game. That, you know, comes out from these like random effect cards that make them not worth it to run. So yeah. So now Lurch for Lunch is a very, very good trick, and happens to be very useful in a couple of decks. It's very useful in Tele Imps because you're able to actually, you know, to do that extra bonus attack with your blob. And actually, it's just useful with blob, you know. It's useful with blob overall because you can do an extra bonus attack with that blob. And when you do that extra bonus attack with that blob, you're actually able to push a lot of damage through. And it's also very useful for Paparazzi. So this card is actually very versatile. It's even usable with Trick Stash at 1x, you know. Very, very versatile card. Might even consider moving up to A tier right now. But probably not, because Lurch for Lunch does break a little bit in the early game, because it, you know, doing the bonus attack in the early game not as scalable as like in the late game. Like this card gets better and better later on the game goes, because you can use it with top end, and the top end will do an insane amount of damage. So happens to get better and better over the course of the game. Kind of not that great in the early game, and kind of breaks your hand if you run it at more than 2x. But Tele Imps, because Tele Imps is basically running Deadly Imps, and Lurch for Lunch just basically becomes like a 2-cost like hard remove whatever is in front of this Deadly Imp right here, which is like justifies it running at 3x. Otherwise, you can run it at 2x at power. You should run it at 2x at Paparazzi. That's, you know, the idea of it. That's just a Lurch for Lunch, very useful card. Just to combine it with your blobs and your top end cards, like even like Trickster, maybe even Trickster. I don't know. Anyways, next card. The next card. So Pool Shark. I don't. I don't know how to rate this card. This card seems to have a lot of potential because it's a 3-1 Bullseye, which is pretty, you know, average, you know, above average, like, you know, aggro stat, but I don't know. It's just not worth it. It's just not worth it because it doesn't do anything other than having that Bullseye trait, and it gets traded by a 1-cost card without giving you anything in return. And I don't know. I don't really know how useful Pool Shark is overall in general. I'd say just put it in F tier for now, because I really haven't, you know, found any usage for it, because it's just really not useful as you know, just a generic, you know, aggro card. And because the other turn 2 options that we have with the Brainy class are so much better. Also known as the next card, which is Teleportation Zombie. I think the main reason why you don't run Pool Shark is that you always run Teleportation Zombie as your 2-cost Brainy card. And, you know, RoboMaster actually pointed this out. Pool Shark is out of class because Brainy is not a very, you know, aggressive card, and the 1 HP does not help it either, which I guess makes sense, right? It dies Galactic Active, which is kind of liability. Also, that's Barrel of Deadbeard, so you can't use it for Professor Brainstorm. Like, I would have loved to use this if in Trick Stash if this had like 2 health, because then it would have survived a Barrel of Deadbeard's explosion, which is pretty good, man. You know. Anyways. Anyways, the card I don't have, seriously just don't know any real usage of Pool Shark in any legit decks. Haven't found any usage of it. Haven't found it ever useful. Next card. So now this card is by far the most broken card in existence. Other than like maybe Fruitcake, I don't know. This card is stupid, guys. Like. This is literally the easiest S tier card ever. I don't know, maybe other than Fruitcake. Fruitcake might, I don't know. This is one of easily the best cards in the game. Okay. This is a 2-cost 1/5 Bullseye, which is already very good stats. Already very good stats as a 2-cost card, because it has Bullseye and 5 health. It allows you to literally play all your minions after playing them. Like, what? Like, who even invented Teleportation Zombie? Like, what in the heck is... Literally, you can... This is literally infinite teleports. Who even invented this? This is so stupid. This is so stupid. Like, you're literally able to play everything after the plants play, which is the whole reason why, you know, plants have, you know, less stats than zombies. You know, plants in general have less stats than zombies, and because of the fact that plants are having last say in terms of minions. And so therefore they have to use weaker minions in comparison to zombie minions, you know, which are usually, you know, higher stats and higher value. This just literally flips the whole board around, because now plants have to play around zombies playing afterwards. I don't know why would anyone ever disagree on this being an S tier, because this is for real, easily one of the best cards in the game, probably top 10, I don't know, maybe like top 5 even, for like the most broken cards in the game. Look, this card did not even need a 5 health. Like, even if this was a 2-cost 1/4, this would still be a very good card. This would still be a very, very good card, even if it's a 2-cost 1/4. Probably still A tier. I don't know. Probably still S tier, actually. If it was a 2-cost 1/4, I don't know. This card's just busted. Anyways. It also has Bullseye. Yeah, it also has Bullseye. This is definitely not fair. And it doesn't get traded by any 1-cost cards. Like, Drone Engineer, like, we'll be getting onto Drone Engineer later. The one problem with Drone Engineer is that it gets traded by a 2/2. This trades into, you know, 2-cost cards and above anyways. It's a 1/5. Anyways, enough rambling of Teleportation Zombie. Card is absolutely broken. Definitely S tier. Next card, Transformation Station. This card has absolutely no purpose in running in any of the decks. This has absolutely no business in any of your decks other than maybe King Leap. I don't know, this is very unreliable environment. You have to make sure your card survives to actually activate this ability. Even though it looks like you can activate it every single turn, it might not necessarily guarantee that minions surviving that turn when it transforms. The reason why Leap is actually better, the trick Leap is actually better, is because you're actually able to just use a Leap on a minion with, you know, already, you know, a minion that is already hurt. You know, you can use Leap on a minion that's already hurt. Like, maybe you can use it on a Crowd Yeti that has 1 health left, so you can make that Crowd Yeti that was about to die to like a 1-cost card that they just sprinted to a 6-cost card, which is kind of a value. But Transformation Station, here comes the big problem with Transformation Station, is that you only get value after your minion survives in that one lane that you put your Transformation Station into. And that is a huge problem to even accomplish, because Transformation Station gives you a random card every single turn, and it's not specific enough. It's not specific enough, and you have to, and it really, your opponents can easily play around this, because this really is only useful when you are already ahead on the board. So it's kind of a win more card, and win more cards usually in this game are not good. Because the tempo cards in this game are so strong that win more cards are usually not that strong in this game in general, in the competitive scene at least. So Transformation Station is just not useful. It doesn't really do anything. And plus the Trick Leap gives you an extra card as well, because it draws a card after you use it, which is a huge positive, honestly, for, you know, regular Leap. Alright, next card. So, I wanted this card to be good, but unfortunately it's just not. It's a Drone Engineer seems like such a strong card, transforming all your science cards into blooming cards suddenly. Like, everything starts to suddenly, you know, gain stats so quickly, like a blooming card. Unfortunately, I found that it really just doesn't work. It really just doesn't work. Let me explain why. So, Drone Engineer is a 2-cost 1/4, which happens to be its problem, I don't know. It's just a 2-cost 1/4, which means it gets traded by a 2/2, which is a humongous problem. And this is basically the same problem as Swashbuckler, and, you know, getting traded by these, you know, 2/2s like Juggernaut, and even just like Clickbee, who would kill this, because because you only need 2 attack from last turn and 2 attack from this turn to kill Drone Engineer. Honestly, if Drone Engineer had 5 health, maybe Drone Engineer would be good if it had 5 health, because then it can actually develop some actual tempo on the board. Like, it will be like that same amount of health as Teleportation Zombie, which I think is probably appropriate for like Drone Engineer. As of right now, Drone Engineer not really useful even in science decks, because you really don't, you know, want to play this, you know, very low value like block. Even if they don't front it, it's just gonna charge your opponent's block meter as well, which is another problem. and it relies on your other minions already staying alive to allow them to scale. It's just not reliable enough. Honestly, as a tempo card, stick this in E tier because it still has some merit to it. If you run it with like Cybolt, but honestly, science decks nowadays, they just opt to run for gadget scientists or just interdimensional zombie, either or. Drone engineer is just bleh. It's just not it. It's just not it. Guys is the main science. Yeah, I already explained the main problem is that it's traceable one drop. That was already explained, so I suggested that this having 5 health would make this significantly better. So the next card is Brain Vendor. So Brain Vendor is actually useful in the meta. I know it sounds weird that Brain Vendor is actually now competitively viable, and that it's purely just because of Toss being a deck now in the meta. And Brain Vendor's synergy is basically with Toss, which is Tisha of some size, which is Tisha deck. Basically synergizes with Secret Agent very well because it's essentially a 0 coster that you can just scoop up right away, and play it for 5/4, and it synergizes with Blob. So it synergizes with Blob because it gives Blob immediately a free extra not bonus attack, but free extra attack immediately. And this actually happens to be very useful in the Brainy class because it's in the same class that teleport exists in, so you can actually just teleport this in as a 2/1. It's a 0 cost 2/1, and then you can just clog the lane, which is actually still fine, as a card itself. And that's why you actually run more copies of Brain Vendor than Moonwalker, because it actually breaks less overall against database. If you're against rank, I would suggest running the free Moonwalker 2 Brain Vendor version because you're not really needing as much defense. And Moonwalker is more reliable as gaining you tempo, but Brain Vendor is giving you a lot of defense as well, defensive value. Even if with your teleports. And it's pretty perfect with Blob as well. Like, this is a great card with Blob because it gives your Blobs, free, extra attack. And it's just an overall pretty cool card, honestly. Oh, Roadmaster said it's a cool card. I don't know what we're saying the same things, but being able to use this with Secret Agent is just a unique thing with Tisha, which helps it become useful with Tisha at least. But here's another problem with Brain Vendor in kind of like the other heroes is that it doesn't synergize enough, and it really works way too well. Not way too well, but very well with Secret Agent. That makes it worth running in Tisha. And usually with other heroes, like, I don't really, see like the health buffing tricks that is gonna make Brain Vendor that useful. Other than maybe like in like Egma Chum Blob, maybe as a fodder for like your Blob and your like trying to get your brains kind of value while benefiting from a sports trade of the Brain Vendor. So that's Egma Chum Blob. You use Chum Champion on top of a Brain Vendor because Brain Vendor is basically a 0 cost sports card, while also giving you extra brains for Blob combo. That's basically the only uses for Brain Vendor. Versatility is very low. You really have to make a build around it, and overall it's okay. Nothing really that special. Okay, so now we have to get onto the hot garbage, guys. Please just stop using freaking Duck Sash in your mustache decks. Duck Sash is a terrible card, guys. I can't. Duck Sash is just horrible. I don't. No, this card is so bad. It's a free cost, a free 2. Why? 2 cost free 2 is already bad enough for zombies. And now we're making this a free cost card that conjures you random mustaches? Come on now. Card is so trash. This card is unbelievably overrated as a card in general, and it's completely almost useless. Even though Mustache Waxer is viable, do not use this, even with a full board. This is the whole problem with Duck Sash, is that you actually, like, this evolution ability is not even that relevant, because you're only really getting that +2/+2. And what really, good mustaches are you evolving this on top on, except for like Quasar, maybe? And the answer is basically none. And usually you really just want to separate the Duck Sash from the other mustache anyways, because you want to be able to maintain that board presence as a mustache deck. Anyways, this is absolutely no this is absolutely no merit, honestly. It's really just useless. You know, the free cost free to just gets free traded by literally anything if you don't have another mustache on the board already, and come on now, it's just useless. Come on. Easy after. Alright, next card. Electrician. The Electrician is actually more useful than Duck Sash, even though it looks like a pretty bad card. Then Electrician is a bad card because the whole problem with Electrician is that it's, even though it's alert for lunch, like alert for lunch is in B tier, but this is just alert for lunch with a 2/2 body, is that this is a pre-committed alert for lunch. The whole problem is that you already committed to playing that lurch for lunch into Electrician, and usually your opponent can easily play around that Electrician and, you know, just deny that lurch for lunch value that you're trying to, you know, just do a bonus attack or blob. Like, is your opponent literally just gonna leave that blob lane open knowing that your gravestone is in Electrician? Like, almost never. And the whole problem is that even when you commit it as a minion, it's not good enough because the bonus attack is a pre-committed, you know, factor of you already playing that free brains and committing to having to be forced to use that bonus attack. Lurch for lunch is so much better because you can use that bonus attack whenever you want to. You can just use that bonus attack if you want to or not. You just like yes or no. You get 2 brains left, leave over, you use it or you don't use it. Electrician, when you play this card, you have to, you know, just do a bonus attack with something, and that bonus attack is usually not going to be worth it because if you're using this on the Electrician itself, it's just, you know, 2 extra damage, and usually not worth it. But the one redeeming quality of Electrician is that its usefulness with Secret Agent. It was considered in toss until, you know, Lurch for Lunch is just obviously better. Electrician was considered in toss because of its synergy with Secret Agent. You can scoop it up, and then now it becomes a free cost 5/5 that does the bonus attack. Now it's like a mini trickster, as Fry says it. I know it sounds kind of cringe because I'm copying like what Fry says, but it becomes a mini trickster in the gravestone, and it's actually pretty decent when you do get it. But unfortunately, this is completely garbage. Because you really have to develop your blob first, which is usually teleporting your blobs, and then you do your bonus attack afterwards. And that's basically the biggest problem with Electrician, the pre-committing. I don't know how to fix this card, honestly. Maybe just giving this one extra attack would fix it. Probably not. The pre-commit, you know, problem still exists, even if you buff stats with this card. Don't know how to fix it. It's probably best to just, you know, retain this as a bad card. I don't know. Anyways, next card. So Funded Razor is actually very useful as a card as well. So comparatively to like Lurch for Lunch, Funded Razor is also very good because it happens to be that drawing 2 cards on the zombie side is actually so much better on the plant side, because with plants, Flourish only draws you the cards in your zombies can still respond to that Flourish because you played literally no tempo on that, you know, Flourish. And Funded Razor, on the other hand, you're actually able to draw afterwards. I don't know why, you know, drawing cards on the zombie side is like so much better than just drawing on the plant side. Possibly because combos are better on the zombie side, and possibly more because of, you know, I don't know how to explain this, but possibly showing that, you know, zombie control overall works better, and overall combo decks are way better from zombies, and that makes Funded Razor worth it. Don't know. It's very useful in Trick Stash because you're actually able to ramp up into that, you know, able to get that free brains. You can play that Funded Razor, you know, just keep drawing, playing more combo pieces. That's why it's useful with Trick Stash. Why it's useful with Paparazzi? Very important card, Paparazzi. One of the most important cards in Paparazzi is that you're actually using Funded Razor to draw that combo up, and to actually able to, you know, get that combo reliably, you have to have some card draw. And also useful in what kind of decks, like Enigmatisha. This is actually also useful in Enigmatisha because you're trying to, you know, just draw extra cards for extra control cards. Overall, Funded Razor is not useful outside of control archetypes, therefore is rated like lower than Lurch for Lunch. So yeah, Funded Razor goes into solid B tier. No objections right here by anyone. Alright, next. So we have Gentleman Zombie as the next card right here. So Gentleman Zombie its usage is very limited, even though its power level is kind of high in Froster. So like there's a new version of Froster going around right now where it's used Gentleman Zombie. So the idea is that you have turn free Gentleman, and then you have literally any trick that in Froster that's gonna protect it. Like basically anything in Froster is gonna protect that Gentleman Zombie from dying on turn 3, and then on turn 4 you teleport guard from him, which is, you know, kind of a funny combo. But I have actually, you know, seen this combo several times already when I was doing some testing, and it actually sort of, you know, works. It sort of does actually work, and but it's not really the most useful card like in the game, like in the Brainy class necessarily, because, you know, this is a free cost 2/2, and the biggest problem with Gentleman Zombie is that this dies to 2 attack minion. Gentleman Zombie actually used to be a free cost 2/3, which was actually way too powerful, because most things with, you know, Gentleman Zombie could survive against most things as a free health minion. This as a 2 health minion now is significantly worse, because now you actually have to, you know, actively, you know, just babysit it and, you know, try to make it, you know, give more value. Usually if Gentleman Zombie stays alive for more than 1 turn, you are profiting immediately on the turn after you played it, because you're getting 2 brains back on the turn you played it already, which means you played a 1 cost 2/2 and you get 2 brains, you know, 3 cost 2/2 and you get 2 brains, so basically this is a 1 cost 2/2. But then if you make it survive 1 turn, now you're definitely profiting, because you're getting 2 extra brains a turn after, which is significantly better. Anyways, this card surviving is the most important aspect of it, and that's why it's good at Froster, because you're actually able to just use Free Kick and Final Mission to protect it from being removed. And when this survives, you get a lot of value out of it. Just like Mustache Waxer, how Mustache Waxer is so broken in Trick Stash is just because Mustache Waxer is able to survive by itself, and that grows every single time, and it's while still giving you, you know, that brain mana cheating and able to swarm the board, makes, you know, Wax worth it. And this is sort of the like Waxer but worse, because it doesn't grow in health. So yeah. But even though it's a more reliable ability if you use it with Froster, because usually you're going for more like trick-based removal rather than actually swarming the board with Froster. So yeah, solid D tier card, not very versatile. This is not good in Morticia. There's literally nothing that really helps this stay alive on turn 3 with not like Morticia, but in Morticia. Like other than Extinction Event, I don't know. The Extinction Event doesn't make this survive enough. This is like, bleh. Not very good in Morticia. Morticia is the kind of hero that, ironically, I would run Cryobrain instead of Gentleman Zombie, because actually ramping to a teleport zombot combo is actually better than actually just getting 2 more brains next turn. Happens to be very awkward that Cryobrain is actually just better than Morticia. So yeah, who do I use this with Paparazzi? This was actually originally inside of Paparazzi before it got added into database, but it got cut for Lurch for Lunch, because Lurch for Lunch is overall better, and you know, scales better with your Paparazzis as well, you know, just doing extra bonus attack with it. But this actually still works in Paparazzi, even if you replace the bonus attack, works pretty well, you know, giving you those extra brains. And just D tier card, because it's not really a power level, really not that high, versatility not that high either, but is usable. That's my point. Alright, so the next card is, so now this card, let's just talk about this card for a second. This card is completely useless in basically any deck. Why would you play a free cost 1 free? Guys, free cost 1 free, don't even mess. What the heck are you doing? The 1 free is literally a stat of like a Headstone Carver, and Headstone Carver is really not a good card, because it's literally just a 1 free. If target opponent's block meter has, and its ability is drawing an extra card. If you guys, this is the whole reason why Play Flyer is not a good card draw card, is because it provides literally basically nobody on the board. This is literally not ever gonna give you actual value, because you're literally just pre-committing this as a gravestone as opposed to a finite razor. Even though Kite Flyer can give you 2 cards in the span of 2 turns, this is a pre-committed Kite Flyer, and if this just hits face, it's just charging your opponent's block meter, which is completely horrible, you know. And this doesn't provide anything to actually help you win the game, because spamming a free cost 1 free is just not useful. Just gets retraded too easily. and you don't draw those cards reliably either. Easy FT card. You should never use this card. I say you can just recycle it outright. Okay, here's another crap card. So Nebula. So I actually rated Nebula lower than Transformation Station. Nebula is just a very, very, high roll card in general. So why is Nebula so bad? Because you're investing 3 brains the turn before, and then you're only getting 2 brains extra the next turn. Like, if this was a 2-cost card that gives you 2 brains the next turn, I would see this being, usable at least. Right now, at its current state, this is an F tier card. Look, you have to literally get, to profit off of Nebula ramping, you have to literally, play a buried treasure, and then play another buried treasure, and then you place like another 1 cost or 0 cost or like a Swappy or a Brain Vendor on top of it. So it becomes a very specific combo, and you're not really ramping to anything but maybe Mechasaurus. I don't even know what you're ramping to, like BMR. Very, very unreliable card because you have to spend so many resources to invest into just 1 Nebula, and when you draw multiple Nebulas, this you almost never want to draw multiple Nebulas as well, and this is a horrible card in itself because it literally doesn't work with anything without infusion because you're only getting 2 extra brains to turn after. Like, why would you not just play 3 brains over a tempo instead of playing a 3-cost environment? Anyways, card sucks. Nick though. So Moonwalker is a useful card with Tisha of some size at the end because it's a 3-cost 4/4. And that's very good tempo. 3-cost 4/4. Usually there's nothing in the game that has free trades with a 3-cost. Actually, no, there's nothing in the game that has free trades with 3-cost 4/4. Sorry. So what it means by free trade is that something with just more health and stats that are actually going to be able to kill it in 1 shot. There's nothing in the game that free trades against Moonwalker, and that makes it a great contender for a tempo card in toss, because now this stays alive because your opponent is usually going to ignore that Moonwalker, or they have to spend or they have to get a bad trade into it with 1-cost card or a 2-cost card that's just going to die into a Moonwalker. And then your Moonwalker stays alive, and then you can just copy the stats with a Swimmer, which is actually really good. Moonwalker is a very strong tempo card in general. The wrong way to use Moonwalker is to try to use this as a dancing card. I don't know. The wrong way to use it is to try to use it as a dancing card. Not a good idea. Do not try that. The best way to use it is basically use it as a swimmer fodder, because synchronized swimmer usually is worth it once it meets a 4 attack and 4 health threshold. That's what we've really been finding out during testing, actually, that synchronized swimmer happens to be very good when it's on the threshold of 4 attack, 4 health or above. Usually swimmer is worth it when you play it for 4 attack or /4 health and above, and that just makes Moonwalker a very strong combo with synchronized swimmer as a whole. Otherwise, is it flexible? It's not useful in tele-imps for obvious reasons, because of course teleporting imps is better than just using a Moonwalker and tele-imps. I already said why we should not use this as a dancing card. Not a good idea. Dancing Synergy, you don't really want Dancing Synergy as a free cost card, because Dancing Synergy usually relies on you playing these cheap little minions on the board, like Disconaut and Aerobic Constructor. Moonwalker, too expensive for a dancing deck in general, so that's not useful with Professor Rainstorm, not useful with tele-imps, useful with Immorticia. What's the other hero? Wait, what's the other hero again? Wait, yeah, Professor Rainstorm, we have HG, with Immorticia. Oh, Rust Bolt. With Rust Bolt, this is not useful either, because Science Synergy with Rust Bolt. Oh, great. What benefit are you gonna get from running Moonwalker Rust Bolt with Paparazzi? Literally 0. And if you're trying to run this with Science Synergy with Rust Bolt, Rust Bolt is just not a good hero anyways to run anything, and usually just really not worth it. Anyways. It's just a D tier card, honestly. Not really much to say. It's the tempo card as a whole. I don't know what to say about it. It's just strong tempo, not really anything else. Works well with Swimmer. Yeah, next card. So next card is Mustache Monument. So Mustache Monument looks like a very, very powerful card like Valk. Um, but in fact, Mustache Monument is just, you know, inefficient as a card in general. Even though I'm putting this in C tier, does not mean that I think it's very good. Again, I am not gonna put a card above B tier if it's not versatile. And Mustache Monument is exactly the definition of very, very, very bad versatility, because this card is completely useless if you're not using it with Professor Brainstorm, and it's only barely useful if you use it with Professor Brainstorm to, you know, double out your Trickster output damage or activate a Valk. It's way too specific, and usually trying to, you know, draw these combo pieces from Mustache Monument is not worth time to do so, because Valk is not a good card anyways by itself, and trying to, you know, overly rely on drawing these combo pieces is just not efficient enough, because once you start double drawing Mustache Monument, you're really, really in big trouble, because you really only need one Mustache Monument ever to win a game. So usually you just want either one or two. I don't know. You probably just run one at this point because it's really, really bad when you draw multiple Mustache Monuments. Because you're literally just playing, you know, free cost 1/5s on the board without much, you know, board presence. This is honestly, how do I fix this card? I don't know. I would just keep it as is. This concept of a card is just not a good game design, honestly, because, you know, it's so freaking broken with Valk, and it's so bad with any other card. Anyways, Mustache Monument is C tier. Alright, next card. Regifting Zombie. So regifting is just regifting is just honestly not good enough, not efficient enough as a card draw card, because Fender Eraser exists and Fender Eraser costs the exact same amount. So regifting was amazing as a 2-cost card, because it was a 2-cost free 2 and draw you 2 more cards. And usually drawing 2 cards as zombies, again, we've mentioned already, drawing 2 cards as zombies is usually way better than drawing 2 cards as plants, and that's because zombies have much better comboing power. So this was absolutely busted when it was a 2-cost card, but now it's a 3-cost card. You're really just playing a 3-cost free 2, which is definitely not worth it. Understat 3-cost card, and doesn't really help any deck other than Valk, and Valk is not a good archetype nowadays. And really, like, what deck are you using regifting in? Like, I'm not using it in Tell the Imps, not using it in Paparazzi, not really using it in Toss either. Like, there's really no decks other than, like, maybe like Valk to run regifting in. And Valk, bad card, already explained the Mustache Monument, so therefore regifting overall has like literally no place in the meta. It has some redeeming qualities of you know, just drawing some extra cards, so it's E tier. Anyways, really just not a good card in general. Alright, next card, Rocket Science. So, okay, Rocket Science is worse than Shamrocket. Okay, let's keep this as that. Okay, Rocket Science is worse than Shamrocket as a card general, but it's actually more usable than Shamrocket in the competitive meta. So this is very contradicting, but let me explain this for you guys. Even though this card is actually less efficient than Shamrocket, because if you haven't already, you can probably just watch like Fry's like Shamrocket rant, even though his suggestions to fix it is definitely not the way to fix it. That I would agree that Shamrocket overall is more efficient than Rocket Science, but Rocket Science is D tier and Shamrocket is only E tier. Why is that? So because Rocket Science is useful in the deck that needs the Rocket Science to survive, and that's Igmatisha. Igmatisha needs Rocket Science to stay alive, which is Immorticia control, for those who don't know it, because you really need to have that hard removal as, you know, that, you know, control player, that it makes it important for Rocket Science to exist in Igmatisha. It happens to be that Shamrocket is not in a good class from the plant side, because it's really in the Guardian class, which, you know, not very control-y, other than maybe you can say that Guardian is control when you use it with Funny Knight, but, you know, it's way too slow, and it's really not helping you set up any combos. And really, the main problem with Shamrocket is that lack of, these 4 or more attack, minion targets in the DB, but Rocket Science has a couple of targets, even just like a grown, Triceratops, or just like anything that's supposed to buff by onion rings. And most notably, Rocket Science counters Strike Through. Rocket Science most what do you call it? The most notable thing that this counters is Elderberry and Astrocado, which makes Rocket Science, just more useful because the 4 or more attack minions are more relevant on a plant side. So it's very awkward. Even if Rocket Science is less efficient than Jamrocket, it's placed in a higher tier because it's just more relevant and more useful as a zombie card. Just how PvZ Heroes works because of, different classes, how they work. And PvZ Heroes, very complex game because the plant side and zombie side play completely differently and play on 2 completely different bases. And that's also why you can't really compare plant decks like zombie decks, because they have completely just different bases and really they're just inherently different. So Trick or Treater, this is not a good card either. This is also not a good card. So Trick or Treater is a free cost for 2 free, which is very weak on turn 3 because you're literally getting no immediate value, and the only value you're actually getting is after you play that first trick in just one turn. And that one treat is probably not gonna make up for the fact you just played a 2 free on the board. A free cost 2 free on the board. That's probably not gonna make up for the fact you played a free cost 2 free on the board. And honestly, you're just losing way too much tempo to actually, use Trick or Treater, because you're getting either help or Story Retreat. I know these cards are good, but you're just losing way too much tempo on playing this free cost useless card, and you can't even use that Health Retreat immediately because you already played that trick first. And if you assume that we have enough mana to actually play that treat, that means that this already survived the turn before, which usually does not happen because it only has free health. And we're talking about the Discord competitive meta. Literally most things would take this out, and this can easily be exploited by opponent just playing a free nut on the board if you play it on turn 3, and this really is not useful as a card in general. Very, very low power. Do not use it. So Wormhole Gatekeeper. Now, Wormhole Gatekeeper is useful in literally one deck, which is called Simor Tempo, and otherwise it's completely useless as well. Honestly, Wormhole Gatekeeper is not a very good card. Even though it's a very good stats, it's a free cost 2/5 Bullseye, and each player draws an extra card every turn. The whole problem with Gatekeeper is that it just feeds your opponent's cards without actually winning the game yourself, which happens to be not that great in general. And its only usefulness is being a science card, I would say, and that's really the only real deck that even uses Wormhole Gatekeeper anymore. I think are just science decks, right? And I don't know how to explain this card, but it's just a card draw card, and it doesn't really do anything other than just draw cards for both your opponent as well. So I don't like the fact that it just feeds your opponent's theme anyways. And plus Dino Wars are so much more prevalent than Dino Wars on the plant side are so much more prevalent than Dino Wars on the zombie side. And that's another problem with feeding your opponent's cards. If you're playing Wormhole Gatekeeper against Triceratops or Velociraptor Hunter, this is horrible. You're just giving them extra stats for Triceratops, giving them extra stats for Velociraptor Hunter, and even against Leprechaun, you're just giving them extra stonks in their deck. It's not a good idea. And if you're going against Leprechaun, usually if you're going to Leprechaun, then you're probably going against Bean deck, right? So that's just giving Admiral Leap Bean extra beans to combo with as well, which is why it's not good. It's just a liability of giving your opponent cards because its plants are having so much more, lines on Dino War cards as well. Okay, so the next card on the list is going to be Zomblob. So this is one of the cards that are going to get upgraded from B tier to A tier. So Blob is actually, probably the best finisher in the Brainy class actually, other than Trickster. And why is on blob so good? Because you're able to actually just teleport this in any lane that you actually have tempo in, and then you're able to just combo your opponent down with virtual lunges or whatever you want to do that. And on blob is so good because you're able to evolve it on anything, and this will have an insane amount of attack, and you know, still have 5 health. You know, even if you evolve this on just like a 1 cost card, it's a, you know, 3 cost card that you evolve on a 1 cost card, and on turn 3 that's still 4 attack, 5 health, which is respectable amount of stats, you know. And this synergizes the most with tele-imps because you're able to evolve the blob on top of these like little, you know, useless imps that your info imp is throwing. Your info imp is the one attack, and after it fronted something and it survived, and that's an amazing, you know, place to use on blob in, because then you can just teleport it in on top of that, and now it's gonna do a ton of damage, and you know, just get overall more bodies. And why is this useful with toss? Basically, you can just evolve blob on something, and then you can copy that blob stats with a swimmer, which is actually kind of broken, and we'll get into swimmer in the tier list later. And I'm actually gonna put swimmer in a very high tier in the tier list because swimmer is a very good card, honestly, in the meta. And Zomblob just helps, you know, finish off that game with that full board. You have the full board. Now what you're gonna do is teleport this in an empty, like, not with lane without plant blocking, and you're able to actually win the game as a tempo deck. So useful in toss, useful in tele imps. Overall, the best finisher in the Brainy class other than Trickster, probably better than Trickster actually, because Trickster is only really viable with 1 hero, maybe 2 if you count Morticia, but Blob is much more better because it's useful with tele imps, which is a very good deck, and also useful with toss. So it's versatile enough, so therefore we're giving it this A tier. Overall power level is A tier, versatility kind of B tier, but yeah, I'll rate this overall A tier. So Draw Major, 4 cost, 4/4, dry zombie, no abilities, completely useless. This has absolutely no abilities, and that's why it's going right into the F tier. Alright. Wait, where did I rate this? I rate this right here. Okay, right here. The 4 cost 4/4 with 0 abilities, not a good card at all. Alright, next. Mad Chemist. This is not a good card draw card. Mad Chemist gives you a random trick after you play that first trick, which is actually not worth it. Because you're playing this, it's the same problem with Trick or Treater. You're playing a understat medium for the cost of, you know, what you're paying for, and then you're not getting a very useful card in the return. And this is even worse than Trick or Treater because you're actually getting any trick from the game. Like, you're able to get any trick from the game, and that is like so, you know, swingable. You know, what I mean by swingable is that what comes out from this Mad Chemist is completely unpredictable, and you have absolutely no control over it having synergy with your own deck or not, and it has absolutely no purpose in being any science deck. This card has absolutely no business in basically doing in any of our decks because it doesn't provide any, you know, certain purpose as a card in general. You just draw some random tricks. Like, what is this useful for? Like, I don't get it. No, it's very inconsistent as well. Very, very draw dependent. Not a good idea. So yeah, Mad Chemist, easy F tier. Next card, Mountain Climber. Same problem with Draw Major. 4 cost 4/4, no abilities. Usually 4 cost cards, you want them to be winning the game. You want the 4 cost card to be able to have some ability to affect the board, to be able to, you know, help you win the game. This does nothing. It's a 4 cost 4/4 Bullseye, and that's it. And you can only use this in the heist lane. Honestly, how to buff this card, like how you buff the Mountain Climber is basically just make this a free and gets 1/1 on height. Now then it breaks less, but it's still not a very good card for obvious reasons. But it's just making it overall better, you know. Anyways, next card, Parasol Zombie. So Parasol is useful in exactly one deck, which is Paparazzi. So why is this actually useful in Paparazzi? It's literally to counter the Kabloom class. So the problem with playing Teacher is that it has very low health, and your opponent can usually just use a Barrier Blast or a Banana Bomb to just kill it. And that's not good, because that's not good enough, because now you can't just let all your teachers die to Barrier Blasts and Banana Bombs, right? So you use Parasol to protect them, and you're able to actually just use this Parasol as a big body to protect everything that you want to protect. from tricks, which is important for Paparazzi because you actually just develop, because with Paparazzi usually you're only developing that like first minion, like that Paparazzi or that teacher you grew a lot, you know, for that exhaust. And that makes Parasol worth it to run in Paparazzi. Problem with Parasol is that it's not really useful in any other deck other than Paparazzi. Maybe you can use it with Tele Imps because it counters Striking Violet, but I've tested it before. I don't like it because Parasol really is not an imp, which is kind of a liability, I'd say. But as a card is usable. So I'm just scrolling down right here just to, you know, get the new ones. So this is Parasol. So Parasol is rated in D tier, right over here, just like that. And giving Untrickable to a minion, Untrickable is not. Untrickable is a pretty overrated ability in this game, honestly. Not just say Untrickable. Oh, so useful. Okay, next one, Thinking Cap. I like to call this card Thinking Crap. This card is completely worthless. Almost. It's a, if you think about it, without teacher, you're paying 6 brains to actually play 2 superpowers. So you're paying basically 3 brains to play a superpower. And that superpower, you don't even get to control what that superpower is, so you actually have to and it's not good. It's just not good. The overall value is just way too low as a Thinking Cap. I don't know how to fix this card because if you pick this as if you make this a free cost card, then it makes Fender and Razor like uncomparable because drawing superpowers is almost always better than drawing cards. So I don't know how to fix Thinking Cap, honestly. Like, what? Just make the superpowers free? I don't know. I don't know how to fix it. I don't know how to fix Thinking Cap, honestly. Overall, the card has really no, you know, redeeming qualities in itself. I would just rate this as a E tier card, because it's still mildly useful when you're like kind of out of steam. I don't know, it's still not very good. Next card. Oh my gosh, how many cards do we have left to go? So many cards in Brainy. Okay, Triplication. So this card is complete ass, guys. Do not use Triplication. What is this? The 4-cost conjure 3 cards. Guys, you were conjuring 3 cards at the cost of 4? Come on, man. How can they mess this up so hard? Even if this is a 2-cost card, it's still not useful. Even if this costs like half of what it does right now, it's still not useful. I'll probably still not run it because it's still very, very draw dependent and it's still very unuseful. I don't know. You know, this is easily F tier card. Never use them. What are you drawing that, like, you have so much swing inside Triplication? You're sacrificing not playing any tempo for 4 brains to conjure an imp, a zombie, and a guard. Tell me what scenario you're in that actually helps you win the game. Almost no scenarios. Therefore, easy F tier. Alright, next card. Next card is Cop Commando. This I don't even know why they made this card playable as an actual card. Literally no traits, no abilities. 5-cost 6/5 dry zombie sickness. It's horrible. So I don't know why. I don't think I have to explain every single time when a zombie is just dry zombie with stats. If I have to explain that every single time, it'd be kind of really annoying. So I don't even know. Like, maybe I could just, you know, make a template of just why, you know, these high cost like dry stat minion zombies are just bad. Anyways, main reason is just because if you play it, your opponent can combo you down very easily with any other like they're more efficient, you know, aggressive options, and Copter Commando like does nothing. This does nothing other than just being a 6/5. And that's why this card is going right into F tier. It's going right here. Alright, next card on the list, Gadget Scientist. So Gadget Scientist is a useful card inside of the traditional classics science decks. So why am I saying traditional classic science decks? Because the new science decks are the ones using the interdimensional zombie, trying to get that, you know, tempo up on the board, and then you're actually trying to win the game by gaining more tempo. Gadget Scientist on the other hand, is the classical approach to winning with science cards is basically trying to figure out like buffing up your minions to a certain amount of point, and then use a gadget scientist to combo your opponent down and just win the game on that turn. You play gadget scientist. That's like with like Cybolt, which is a very unreliable deck because I don't even want to talk about Cybolt nowadays because Cybolt is just crap, so do not. And Gadget Scientist overall as a card has been falling off in the meta because of the fact of the rise of interdimensional zombie as a science energy card anyways. So it's just low C tier. It's really only useful with like Immorticia and Rust Bowl. It's arguable this is D tier. Like this is easily arguably a D tier, which is Gadget Scientist. And which is not good. Some people are saying that Cyborg Tempo is kind of decentish. So the thing is that with Cyborg Tempo, you have so many breaks with Cyborg Tempo. You're just playing like Cyborg Tempo is way too slow actually, and it loses to itself a lot of times because you're drawing like all these combo pieces like Cryobrains, you're drawing Maniacals multiple times, and you're drawing Gadget Scientists multiple times, and you're drawing Interstellar Bounty Hunter multiple times. Now those are just liabilities towards a combo, and Gadget Scientist doesn't really have like these like really good things with these science cards, and that's why it is low in C tier. Okay, next card, Gargmime. So Gargmime really like this is just an F tier card. There's really no efficient way to use Gargmime. I've tried it multiple times already. Tried it with like Gadget Sciences, like Cardiologist combo, did not work out. Tried it with Trickster, did not work out. Tried it with like just generic, like even I've actually even at a point put Gargmime inside of Tele-Imps to try to find out whether Lurch for Lunch is worth it. Answer is no, definitely not. Gargmime is just not a good card because it's just a 5-cost 5/7, and it only works if you are actually playing bonus attacks, and bonus attacks are so inefficient to activate other than maybe like Gadget Scientists, and that's why it just makes the Gargmime not very good. Even though I've seen like Yo-Yo use like this little like Mime Cybolt deck. Like I find it kind of interesting to use that idea. I already tried that idea on the channel already. There's actually a video already on it. Like trying to make Gargmime viable is really hard. I think that was the video title name, I forgot. Anyways, overall card is just hard to activate its ability, and otherwise without the ability it's just a 5-cost 5/7 which does nothing, which is Dry Minion Sickness once again. So yep. So the card is F tier. So next card is Pirate's Booty. Guys, Pirate's Booty. Booty money. So this is definitely the worst card in the Brainy class. It's a 5-cost card that draws like for a card that every zombie. Guys, if this drew, just this the whole condition of having so many zombies on the board for this to be worth it, you have to have at least 4 zombies staying alive on the board for this to be worth it. And oh my gosh, this is obnoxious noise, but this is such a bad card. This is such a bad card. What are like you have to have this, like you have to have an amazing board just for this to be even good. You have to have a board of 4 minions staying alive for like using 5 brains on drawing cards to be even worth it. And if this is only next to like 2 people, I mean not 2 people but 2 minions on the board, then you're only drawing 2 cards. Significantly worse than Dead Razor. Worst card in the Brainy class by far, honestly. So yeah. Next one, Portal Technician. So the whole reason why Portal Technician is not useful, 5-cost board for dry stats has absolutely no usefulness to it, and the ability of it is just completely random, and usually you just get a 1-cost card or a 2-cost card because most cards in the game, so because most cards in the game cost 2 or less. Or rather a lot of the cards, and honestly the redeeming clause of this is that you can there's no redeeming clause of Portal Technician. Absolutely 0 redeeming clause of Portal Technician. I can easily stick this in F tier. It's just a 5 cost word for dry minion doing nothing, and then when you destroy it, you make a random minion. I don't even know what the heck that random minion is gonna be. Like, just like so RNG dependent. Just better to not run it and usually just make it crap. So easy F tier. Next card is going to be Shield Crusher Viking. So Shield Crusher Viking is an E tier card. It's kind of useful because it's in the Brainy class, which helps it because you can use it with teleport. The one usage I found with Shield Crusher Viking is using this in sushi aggro. So kind of the thing is that you use Cryobrain to ramp towards teleporting Shield Crusher Viking, and then you can use a Flame Phase to actually reactivate Viking a second time. That's the kind of thing I found out from sushi aggro. Like, that's a very unique deck, and that runs Viking legitimately, and it does work because you're actually able to just teleport this in an empty lane, and then it does 7 damage to your opponent's phase. Bullseye drains their opponent drains the block meter. However, problem with Viking is that it's lane dependent, and Viking really doesn't do anything other than when it does go phase, and really it limits its usefulness because it's significantly worse as just a dry minion, and again, dry minions in this game are just not good. Without teleport, this card is complete ass. And it provides basically no value if you don't have teleport, because your opponent can just stick anything in front of it. So yeah, unfortunately, it's just an E tier card, not really useful. So next one is Helicopter, and Helicopter is a budget option for budget players. I'd say that this is useful as a budget option because you can just use Helicopter on turn 6, and then you can use Gadget Scientist to turn immediately after and do 8 damage, which is pretty decent actually at winning the game. So yeah, that's a really useful, the only use for Helicopter. Otherwise, not useful. Otherwise it's not useful. It's a 6 cost, because 6/5, which is not good at countering a lot of the other things that are a lot more swarmy on the plant side, like mushrooms, free nut. Helicopter doesn't help at all, but Helicopter gets a little bit of points just because it's a budget option, and it works with Gadget Scientists pretty well. So okay, the next card is going to be Kitchen Sink Zombies. So people think Kitchen Sink Zombie is actually a very bad card. Honestly, it's not as bad as people say, but also not being as good as people say it is when you actually run it. Kitchen Sink is kind of legit inside of a tempo deck, that you're actually able to develop this tempo on a board, and once you have that tempo on the board, you can teleport this in, and this does an insane amount of damage because it has Bullseye, Frenzy, Arbor, Overshoot, and Anti-Hero. I think everyone can read it, and it has an insane amount of unblockable damage because it has Overshoot and Bullseye and Frenzy, and that makes it just more useful in general as a card. But the whole problem with Kitchen Sink is that it's way too slow to try to finish off your opponent by like turn 7 when you start using teleports with it. Usually it's not worth it because then you really just this gets screwed up even by like anything with more than 3 health. So this gets screwed up by a single walnut. Kitchen Sink's all like 6 damage to phase gets completely denied by the usage of one singular walnut. So yeah, that's another problem with Kitchen Sink, is that it's too slow, gets countered by 3-nut combos. Anyway, next, so Wizard Garg is completely worthless as a card as a whole toward the whole thing, because you really, again, dry minion sickness is that you're playing 6 cost card, only stats, has no other useful abilities that actually affect what the game is gonna happen or whatever is gonna happen next. So another victim of the dry minion sickness unfortunately had to go into F tier again. Anyways, next, Batman Rising. Batman Rising gets a little bit of points just for being a bit useful if you're using it with tele-imps. Like Batman Rising is usually way too slow because you have to get the like really like insane Nebula curves to even play that Batman Rising in the first place, or you have to use it with tele-imps, because then you can use it with imps, then you can make a couple of imps like here or there transform to like these big minions. It's kind of cool, I guess, but it's really not reliable because Blob is almost certainly better than Venom Rising with, you know, combo pieces together when you use it with Tele Imps. And Venom Rising overall is just not reliable because you get some random cards, you get some random 5 drops, 6 drops, or whatever. And, you know, and there's a lot of crap that can come out of this, like Blowgun Imp, like what do you call it? Flamenco. Flamenco. That's also pretty bad. What else is pretty bad? What else was pretty bad last? No, I don't even know. I don't even know, but there's a lot of crap. Oh, yeah, I mentioned Flamenco already, right? Oh yeah, anyways, there's a lot of crap that can come about Rising, and it makes it really inconsistent as a card in general. Alright, so we're on to the last 2 cards of the Brainy class. The first one is no, the second to the last one is Mechasaur, and Mechasaur really struggles as a card that is way too slow. If there's a reliable way to actually, you know, have enough health by turn 7 and play that Mechasaur and not die that turn, I don't know. Like, the whole reason why Mechasaur loses is because it is just way too slow compared to the pressure that we're actually applying on the board that allows, you know, like denies the fact of Mechasaur being played. And Mechasaurus is useful by a very small margin just because it's able to, you know, high roll, you know, pretty, I don't know, like Undying Pharaohs or whatever you want to call it. Anyways, overall, not a useful card. Like, I will give him an E tier here just for a little bit of consolation prize here. Put it in E tier, like right here. Alright, so now we're on to the last card, and everyone's been waiting for this moment. It's Trickster. Guys, Trickster is a very good top end finisher for Trickstash and Froster, and it happens to be that it's actually only really useful with one hero because the other heroes kind of suck with Trickster, other than maybe Immorticia, because you can use Area 22 with Trickster. Now that Trickster does 8 damage in Area 22, that's more of an Area 22 thing being good, rather than Trickster really being good with Immorticia. Trickster is really not that great with Immort. And dude, guys, come on. This is another misconception. Do not use Trickster in Paparazzi. It's a horrible idea. It's completely anti-synergetic because Trickster benefits off you having stalled the game late and then you using combo tools, not combo tools, but able to move efficiently things off the board so you have an empty lane for Trickster. Problem is with wait, I forgot what I was gonna say. Wait a second. Wait, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the problem with Trickster in Paparazzi is that it is health buffing tricks, and it doesn't synergize with Trickster because Trickster benefits off you playing a slow game on the long con, and Rust Bolt really doesn't have really efficient, you know, these controlling options, and Paparazzi really, you know, would really like to have, you know, the whole deck just dedicated towards the Paparazzi combo and maximizing, you know, how strong that combo is. And overall, Trickster does not help with that combo at all, other than just being a second win condition, which the deck does not need because you have Fender Razor to draw basically infinite win conditions as Paparazzi, and Trickster happens to just be not useful. Trickster just happens to be not useful versus Rust Bolt. Very good with Froster. Trickster has already explained that. So this card can either be in like very low A tier or high B tier, but just because of its, like, you know, what do you call it? How, you know, versus how it is, I think it's sort of B tier. But yeah, and that's gonna be it for the Brainy tier list. Longer than usual stream right here. But yeah, that's the comprehensive Brainy tier list ranking, whatever you want to call it. The trash fell off the bottom. No one cares about the trash right here. Take out the trash right here. I don't know. Anyways, guys, that's gonna be it for the Brainy tier list. Man, that was a lot of talking. Man. Okay, okay. That actually took a lot of time to prepare. Oh my gosh. I should probably not do more tier list videos. They are really hard to do. It take a long time to set up, and then it take a long time to even order everything in order of what you actually want to like talk about, and then think about which tier everything is in. So much thing to think about when you make a tier list. Anyways. Yeah, that's gonna be it. Why is Telephone Zombie above Paparazzi? Because Cell Phone Zombie is more useful and Froster. I already explained it. Anyways, that's over with. Yeah. So now this is done. I think we're just gonna end stream right here. Froster better than Paparazzi. I said already at the start, this is based on the Discord competitive meta more than anything else, you know? The rankings are based on the Discord, you know, meta. Or else or else if this was not based on the Discord meta, then I would just put like Mechasaurus in like S tier because it gets value every single time if you're not playing against any pressure, right? You have to set some standard for like what, you know, things are you playing against really. And that's the, you know, Discord meta, and Discord meta is the most important in my opinion. Okay, so who we rating? Let's go to Twitch and see who we rated real quick. Yeah, we're gonna end stream right here. Is anyone streaming PvZ Heroes other than us? Answer is. The answer is no. Is anyone doing normal PvZ? Like PvZ 1? Yep, there is some people doing PvZ 1. Okay. This guy's doing some speed runnings. This guy's doing some last standing. And this guy is playing PvZ. This guy's Turkish. Okay. So you have one guy. This guy is doing a speed run. Okay, let's see this. Let's see what is going on here. This guy's doing a speed run. This is probably legit. Yep, this is legit. Okay, where is this guy? He has one viewer. He has one viewer. He's been streaming for like 1 hour. Let's just skip this guy. A little bit of support right here. Alright. Is Paparazzi good with 2 tricksters? Paparazzi is good without any tricksters. I just explained it. Do not use trickster with Paparazzi. Not a good idea. Alright guys, I'll see you guys next time. Next time probably like tomorrow, and then I'll do like another deck for tomorrow. Probably another tier list, not another tier list. Oh my gosh, tier lists are so stressful. Tier lists are so tiring. Guys, see you guys.